Buckle in, buckle in, and get ready because we are going to do the most extensive, the most exhaustive, the most detailed brand by brand analysis of the new Morgan Stanley Swiss watch industry report you've ever seen in your life. Caution, this program will be for watch nerds, people who care about watches, people who are experts on the watch industry. If you love Rolex and AP, Richard Mille, Vacheron, Patek Philippe, you're going to love this show. If you're a big fan of Omega, Panerai in deep, deep trouble. Tudor and like every other brand that's not Rolex, AP, or Patek, you're probably not going to enjoy today's program. So you should probably just turn off right now. If you're a big fan of like Victorinox, is that a brand? Victorinox? Is that still a brand? You probably won't be happy with today's show, but we're going to go through the new Morgan Stanley report, detail by detail, and we're the only channel that's going to do it. You're probably not going to find another live stream channel that covers the Morgan Stanley report the way we do it, which is the best way. Full detail, full commentary, and analysis live. We're going to do it live. We're not going to do we're not going to clip together. We're not going to write a script. We're not going to consult with the brands. Like, oh, Panerai, what should we say about your performance? No, we're not going to consult with the brands. We're going to look at the data. We have all the data, and we're going to give our objective analysis and commentary on what's going on in the Swiss watch industry. We will not be bought. By the way, huge shout out to Morgan Stanley and Lux Consult. We will be reviewing charts and data provided by them, and I don't want to be sued. So thank you to Morgan Stanley and Lux Consult. Big shout out to Oliver Mueller, author of the report for Morgan Stanley. Oliver Mueller is the principal at Lux Consult, and I think he's a cool guy. Buckley doesn't like him. Buckley doesn't like these statisticians, these economists, the talking heads. He thinks they're all full of BS. Buckley thinks he knows what's going on in the Swiss watch industry better than experts like Oliver Mueller. I disagree. I think Oliver Mueller knows what's going on. He has the data. He has the insights. Okay? Now, we're going to cover, I have the data on every top 50 brand going back for 6 years. I've got the unit production data for every top 50 brand going back all the way to 2020. I can pull everything up in a second's notice. I have everything. I've got everything at my fingertips. I've got everything at my disposal. And we're going to focus on the unit production. We're going to focus on annual production because that's what really tells the story about the health of these brands. I mean, sure, these brands have been raising prices. They're using every excuse under the sun to raise prices. Oh, well, the cost of gold is going up. The cost of healthcare, the cost of health insurance, the exchange rate fluctuation, the dollar versus the franc. Tariffs are killing us. Listen, they're going to use every excuse under the sun to raise prices through the roof and create the facade that they're healthy. But I'm going to tell you that we could easily pick 10 brands from the top 50 that won't be around in a few years. And by the way, all the brands underneath the top 50, they're all in trouble. They're all in Trouble. Every single one of them. Let me ask you, when's the last time you bought a Victorinox? Probably not very often. Victorinox. You ever heard of them? Yeah, they were a top 50 brand not long ago. What about Titoni? Have you ever heard of Titoni? What about Mondane? You ever heard of Mondane? Of course you haven't. What about CK Watch? Ever heard of CK? Nope, you probably haven't. These are all brands that were within the top 50 just a few years ago. They're gone. They're gone. The only brands that have kind of crept into the top 50 are like MB&F and Jorn. MB&F and Jorn. And maybe I got to give a shout out to Christian Ward. Christian Ward, for the first time, popped into the top 50. You're going to be shocked at how many units Christian Ward produced in 2025. Anyway, we're going to do a very, very detailed analysis. We're going to go brand by brand. If you want me to cover any specific brand, I'm going to ask politely, respectfully, for a highlighted comment. Okay? Otherwise, we go in my order. So if you want me to pull up any specific brand, highlighted comment, please. This is going to be the best show of the year. The title of the show is Watch Expert. I think it's something like Watch Expert does something. I can't remember. What is it? Well, we don't have any watch experts here, but we'll analyze the results nonetheless. How about that? We will review the results without watch experts here. By the way, one other thing I want to point out, and I was the only person who mentioned it, and yes, I'm going to give myself a huge pat on the back for this. Huge pat on the back. Remember this report that came out and everybody showed it? Remember this from Vontobel Equity Research that came out a few days ago? And everybody said, oh, what's going on with Omega? They dropped to 1.7 billion. And I went on a live stream, and I'm the only person who said it. By the way, all the journalists in the industry, from Revolution, Hodinkee, SJX, Monochrome, they all reviewed this data. Not a single journalist in the watch industry pointed out that number was fishy. I was the only person, I'm not going to say journalist, but I was the only watch enthusiast that called out that number and said, that number isn't right. That doesn't seem right to me. I don't think it's 1.7. I think it's much higher. If it's 1.7, something's like mega wrong, or their data is fucked, or they swapped numbers, or they were inaccurate. I was the one who called it out. Nobody else in all of watch YouTube, no one else in all of the watch industry called Vontobel Equity Research out on that figure. I was the only person. And sure enough, Morgan Stanley contradicts that number heavily. I'm telling you, you get the good stuff here. You get the best, the absolute best coverage of the watch industry right here. Let's see who we have in the chat. First, I want to say hi to Brody. Please cover Tudor in depth. I will cover Tudor. We're going to cover every freaking brand in the top 50, brand by brand. We're not going anywhere, guys. We're not going anywhere. If you're watching this on the replay, buckle in, okay? I have the unit data going back to 2020. So if you ask me about a specific brand, I'm going to tell you in detail about how it's performing. Okay. Brody, please cover Tudor in depth. I will. I'll cover that as the first brand. Thank you, Brody. And we've got EZE, $5 super chat. Where can one extrapolate how many units of Submariners, Daytonas, etc. that Rolex makes? It's hard to find. Okay. That data is never published, but can be extrapolated. And over the years, people have come up with rough approximations for the percentage or the proportion of production that is allocated to the Datejust versus the Submariner versus the GMT Master 2 versus the Daytona. Nothing is written in stone. We don't have the actual data. Only Rolex knows, unless you were like to go to visit every single dealer and somehow figure out what their shipments were. It's impossible, but we do know rough approximations. So easy, if you want to know something specific about Rolex, like how much of their million unit production was Datejusts or Submariners, we have a good guess. So ask a very specific question and I'll do my best to answer it. All right. It's customary for me to say hi to every single person who types in a comment in the chat. So I'm going to do that. But first, customary wristwatch check. I'm wearing my Urban Jurgensen. Absolutely love it. It's a fantastic piece. I also have one available in stock. Link in the description below. No, actually, I'm not wearing an Urban Jurgensen. I'm wearing a Rolex, baby. Wearing the Rolex Daytona rose gold Sundust diamond baguette dial. Got the clasp, no glide lock on this one. I got it before the glide lock. It's on Oyster Flex. The Rolex Daytona, reach for the crown. All right. Let's see who is in the chat. Let's see who's in the chat. We've got Whole Milk, not a member of the channel, which reminds me, just for those of you who are just watching, just tuning in for the first time maybe, this channel is funded by your memberships and super chats. So I'm going to drop a link. If you're watching for the first time, subscribe. Make sure you enable all notifications and become a member. This is the original OC channel. I'm your host, OC. Smartwatch Talk for the Smart Collector, the #1 watch channel on YouTube. #1 watch channel on YouTube. #1 in subscriber engagement globally. #1 in membership engagement globally. And the fastest growing watch live stream in the United States, UK, and Canada. We do live streams without warning, without a schedule. Today, we actually did planning. We did prep, we did research. I have a big spreadsheet that I did behind the scenes with unit production of all the brands going back years and years and years. Okay? Whole Milk says, we can watch Swatch's share price drop in real time as OC buries the Hayek family. I think listen, I don't give financial advice, and I'm not licensed by the Securities and Exchange Commission to be a broker. But I think it's overpriced. I think, and by the way, there is a shareholder activist campaign looking to make changes to the board of the Swatch Group. I think a fair share price for Swatch is probably around $80 to $100 a share. For the record, I don't own it. I'm not shorting it. I don't have puts and options and calls and leverage and all that stuff. I don't. I had to recuse myself because I was talking with some people about shorting the stock and puts, and then the lawyers stepped in. They're like, "Oh, see, you can't do that. You're on YouTube. It's financial advice, blah, 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 blah." All right. So can't do that. But Omega is one of the big losers. Newsflash, breaking news here. Omega is one of the big losers but not the biggest loser, not the biggest loser of 2025. And I predicted that Tudor and Hublot would be the biggest losers. They're actually not. There's one brand that performed worse than Hublot in 2025, and you guys can guess it. If someone guesses it in the chat, you'll be the winner. One brand, it's one of the big brands, like in the top 20. One of the top 20 brands was the worst. Which one was the worst performing brand of the year? I will tell you. That's all coming up, guys. We're going to just strap in, buckle in. This is going to be a long show. Grab a coffee, grab some popcorn. We're going to go brand by brand through this report. And I have all the data. We have all the key findings. We have all the analysis. It's going to be amazing. Christian Ward is a big winner. Actually, you got to hand it to them. They jumped into the top 50 for the first time. They jumped into the top 50 for the first time, and with annual production of nearly 40,000 units. Can you imagine people buying 40,000 Christian Wards? Oh my God, 40,000 suckers. Ugh. They sold 40,000. They sold 40,000 units. That's crazy. I mean, who knows? Who knows where they go from here? Home Milk says Buckley doesn't like Oliver Mueller because he gets him confused with Robert Mueller. Robert Mueller was former head of the FBI, I believe. Got Original Mathis in the chat, reminding people to upvote the live stream. Upvote the live stream. Thank you very much. If you're just joining us, the Original OC channel, we do Watch Talk here. We have David J. Goncalves. What energy cost rising due to the Ukraine? Okay, let's see. Wait. Let's see if this. I try to read things in English, so let's step back here. What energy cost rising? That makes no sense. Energy cost is rising due to the Ukraine war. I don't think energy costs are higher. The destruction of Nord Stream, deindustrialization in Europe is real. I don't even know what that means. David, retype. Thank you. Welcome to the channel. Not the Pope is in the chat. Member of the channel, Victorinox, is much better known for their Swiss Army knives. Yeah, there are a lot of brands who are either primarily jewelry brands or primarily fashion brands or primarily pen brands like Montblanc, or in this case, Swiss Army knife brands that also make watches. You know, Leica makes a watch. Leica, the camera brand. Why are they making watches? I don't know. It looks good. It's a good looking watch. Do you know Porsche Design makes a watch? What do they know about watches? What do they know about watches? Can you cover Citizen? No, I will cover Citizen. Citizen's in the top 50. I'll cover Citizen. Thank you for the super chat. Easy, appreciate it. Can you do a 9-hour stream today like Unc does? You're referring to Curly Kush, star of the Franchise Club channel. No, I will not be doing a 9-hour stream. It might go like a couple hours. It might go a couple hours because we're going to go in depth on every brand. We're not stopping until we uncover every kernel of information and we conduct the most thorough and detailed analysis ever done on a Morgan Stanley report. Okay? Now, listen, if you want to jump on the panel, you will be able to analyze with me. And more important than that, you'll actually kind of dictate which brands we cover, the order in which brands. But we don't even, I'm not even going to pull up Monochrome. I'm not going to pull up any articles because they don't know anything. We have access to the data. We have the access to the raw data. We know what's happening. I don't trust some guy who used to be a fashion writer, used to write about Versace and Gucci, and now he writes about watches. He doesn't know anything. We know way more about what our industry and our hobby than they do. So the analysis is going to be coming from us. We know what's happening on the ground. More curious about how many basic stainless steel Daytonas are made. Not very many. Not very many. I would say the Daytonas, stainless steel Daytonas, a few thousand, right? Maybe 10, 20,000. Not very many, right? Could it be more? Sure. Could it be 40,000? But the point is, it's a fraction of their overall production. It's probably like stainless steel Daytonas, less than 5%. Less than 5%. For sure. Maybe like 2%. How that helps you is, I don't know. It's probably like it could be 2%. 2% of a million is 20,000. Yeah. 20,000 divided by 1,600 ADs. It's like, 10, 20 watches per AD per year. That's probably what it is, right? So how does that help you? I'm not quite sure. Whether it's 20,000 or 40,000, they're still very, very hard to get. Don't ever sell my Daytona. I have no current plans on selling my Daytona on Oysterflex. Hey, we got JD Gonzaroo. He's from Australia. What time is it in Australia? Is it like in the middle of the night? OC, I'm here for the next 7 hours of in-depth market analysis. Thank you. Don't go anywhere. We're going to cover brand by brand. We have all the production data going back 6 years. So if you have a question about a specific brand, Tudor is going to be the first because Brody super chatted for Tudor. Okay. We've got Loom Pearl, who's a member. We've got MJ, who is a member. Wishing everyone a happy Wednesday. Got Doc Mick in Florida, who's also a member, saying hi to the chat. If you're watching right now, type in a comment in the chat. Original Mathis, member for 16 months. If you have a star next to your name, that means you're a member. Click on the currency icon, like the $ sign or the pound sign or whatever. You may have a free member milestone chat there. Use it. It's like a free $100 super chat. So click on that. It's like a free $100 highlighted comment. Member for 16 months. Who invented the elevator, pool, and airplane flex? The original OC. I think Christian Ward owes Tickers a couple of million for his hard work. Listen, T and Tickers definitely promoted Christian Ward on a NATO strap more than anybody. More than anybody. And Christian Ward isn't my favorite brand. I don't care about the brand. I think nobody should buy them. Listen, we're the elitist watch channel here. My job and my obligation is to protect the viewers, to protect the watch community. So I'm never going to recommend that they buy watches that are worthless as soon as you buy them, or sit in the box doing nothing, or get buried at the bottom of a drawer, which Christian Ward will most certainly be if you ever buy it. No one's going to wear that watch in public. Okay? If you watch this channel, there is zero chance that you will ever be seen in public wearing a Christian Ward. And that's just the truth. I'm sorry if it hurts people, but nobody should be buying Christian Ward. Not the Pope says Richemont might go places. They're slowly shaving off dead weight. Baum and Mercier is sold. Jaeger LeCoultre might go to managerial buyout. That's an MBO, management buyout. They just need to dump Panerai, Roger Dubuis, and maybe Piaget, and they're good to go. I don't think they'll dump Piaget because Piaget is a big jewelry brand, and they probably perform very well on the jewelry side. Jewelry is very, very high margin. But if you're saying that they need to get rid of the watches, I mean, the thing about the Piaget watches is they have a rich history, with the polo, and I mean, there are a lot of Piagets that are just incredibly elegant and fancy looking, and they have heritage. It's just that we'll go through the Piaget numbers. We're going to go through all the numbers. Okay, we're going to go through all the numbers. Should we start with Tudor? Tudor, I thought, was going to be one of the worst performing brands of 2025. Turns out they did okay. They did okay. Let me see here if I have a chart here. Let me show you this one. Boom. Now you can probably see my cursor. Here's Tudor right here for 2025, right here. They actually performed better in 2025 than they did in 2024. In 2024, they weren't even in the top 20. Okay? They had fallen off. The only other time they were in the top 20 was 2023. Oh, no, wait a minute. 2023, they were here, and then they were number 15 position. Okay, let's follow this chart. In 2019, Tudor was in 18th place. Then they jumped up to 15th place. They maintained 15th place for 3 years. Then they dropped down to 17th place. Then they dropped off the chart completely. They dropped off the chart completely for 2024. Now they're back in 2025 in position 17. Now, how did they achieve that? They, in 2025, Tudor shipped 180,000 pieces. They had annual production of 180,000 pieces. That's up. That's actually up about 11, 12% from 2024, where they shipped 160,000 pieces. Okay, 160,000 pieces was their low point, 2024. Now listen very carefully. Where were they in 2020? In 2020, Tudor was at 230,000. Okay? And in 2021, Tudor actually produced 300,000 watches. Okay, 2021, when people were buying Tudors because they thought buying Tudors would help them get Rolexes, they produced 300,000 watches. They quickly started falling. Their production started falling. They fell to 255,000 by 2023. And then they took a massive dump in 2024. They went from 255,000 down to 160,000. Tudor and Hublot were the worst performing brands of 2024. They went from 255,000 to 160. So they've rebounded a little bit. They came back up to 180. Back to 180. But they're still not out of the woods because nobody should be buying Tudor. No one should be buying Tudor. This chart is kind of hard to see. What I'll do, I'll blow it up bigger the next time I show it. Let me see if I can... let me go to this. You can see Tudor here in the number 17 spot in green. See this? Tudor in the number 17 spot, 180,000 units, annual revenue of 460 million Swiss francs. That's not too shabby. Not too shabby for Tudor. Pretty dang good. Let's see. Were there any other requests? I think Eazy-E wanted a specific brand. Let's see. Eazy-E wanted. Got to go back through the chat. Citizen. Okay, Eazy-E wanted Citizen. Citizen in 2025 was number. Let's see, are they here? Well, Citizen is Japanese, right? So Citizen isn't covered in the Swiss watch data. But so can't cover that one. Cannot cover Citizen. If you have another brand you want us to cover, Eazy-E, let me know in the chat. But no, we're not going to cover Citizen. All right. Any other requests for brands? If you want to leapfrog or jump ahead of the line and cover a specific brand, I will be revealing the worst performing brand of 2025 coming up. The worst performing brand. So let me show you guys what's going on in the industry overall. Okay, check this out. As you can see here, now the chart on the left is showing the overall value of Swiss watches, the export value of Swiss watches. So as you can see, with the exception of basically 2020, I'm just gonna make this a little bit bigger. As you can see here, the overall value of Swiss watch exports is doing pretty well. Although look at the last 3 years here. It looks like it's going up, but actually the last 3 years is going down. I mean, it peaked in 2023 and it's going down. So this is kind of the line isn't going up anymore. For revenue, the line for the entire industry is going down. Don't be fooled by this red line. Now, this chart is from Morgan Stanley, but it's basically based on data from the Federation of Swiss Watch Exports. And that line is a little bit misleading because while it's going up generally over the past decade and a half, the reality is 2023 was a peak and it's going down. Okay? So no one else is going to tell you that. No one else is going to tell you that the industry peaked in 2023. It's on its way down. It may not ever come back up. It may not ever come back up. 2023 might go down in history as the best performing year for Swiss watches. Now, that's revenue, but that doesn't tell the story. Doesn't tell the story at all, because here's what's really going on. Here's what's really going on. Oh no. Oh no. That's what's really going on here, is that we have mechanical watches represented by the dark portion of this line, and quartz watches represented by the light part of the bar. Okay. And as you can see here, unit production is shrinking and shrinking fast. Okay. Now there was a little bit of a bump there, 2021, 2022, 2023, because of COVID, because of the hype, because of the boom. But now it's going to continue along its downward trajectory, and you're going to see year over year reductions in annual production. The question is, how is the industry going to survive? How is the industry going to survive? Now, let me give you a little bit of data. 2023, listen carefully. In 2023, the top 50 brands, the production of the top 50 brands was 15.9 million units. Are you guys following along with this? Dude, this is only for watch nerds. Okay? You're not going to be able to multitask. You're not going to be able to like be on a Zoom call or be like on Google Meet or like be on Teams, or you're not going to be able to watch this live stream while you're participating in a meeting at work. In 2023, the top 50 Swiss watch brands produced 15.9 million units. Okay. Now in 2024, the top 50 brands, that number dropped from 15.9 million to 13.4 million. 13.4 million. And then last year in 2025, that number dropped again. The top 50 brands only produced 12.3 million units. Okay, so in just 2 years, in just the last 2 years, the top 50 brands went from producing 15.9 million watches down to 12.3 million watches. And there is no stopping this train. Okay? No one else is going to tell you. No one else is going to tell you, give you this analysis. You're going to hear it here. I'm the only person who's going to do it. 15.9 down to 12.3. That's a pretty big reduction. What is the math on that? Let's do the math. 15.8 minus 12.3. That's a 22% reduction. 22% reduction in only 2 years on the production of the top 50 brands. Okay? So this is the big problem right here. This is the massive problem. And it's only going to get worse. 2020, I predict 2025. By the way, Omega, the Swatch Group is predicting in their 2025 annual report, they're predicting that 2026 is going to be great. It's going to be positive. They're going to grow. They're actually telling their shareholders that they're going to grow in 2026. I do not give financial advice. I'm not giving investment advice. I'm not giving stock advice. Okay? You guys can make up your own mind. Make up your own mind. And by the way, LVMH is in fucking dire situation. At least LVMH watches. LVMH watches are basically defunct. They are. They're basically defunct. Tag Heuer is doing well. Tag Heuer is doing well, but Hublot and Zenith are basically gone. I'll be covering Hublot and Zenith in detail coming up. Guitars Chronos. How did Breitling do? I'll tell you for a super chat. Super chats, guys. Otherwise, I go in my order. I'm going in my order today, but if you want to go in your order, support the channel with a little bit of super chat. I am. This is a self-funded channel. Self-funded. Actually, it's funded by you guys, so please continue funding it. Nowhere else you're going to get this analysis. Nowhere else you're going to get the real details. No one else is going to tell you that the industry shrunk from 15.9 million units to 12.3 million units. Monochrome's not going to tell you. You think Waco is going to tell you? You think Constant Kwong is going to come on a live stream and tell you that? Nope. You think Benjamin Kleemer is going to tell you about that? Nope. He's going to tell you things are hunky-dory. Hunky-dory. By the way, link for Oliver Mueller. If Oliver Mueller wants to jump on, just drop a comment in the chat. I'll drop a special link for you, and you can jump on the panel. OC starting his own channel to cover watches was a clear sign of the top. Yeah, that was the... Yeah, if what you're saying is that OC's appearance on YouTube coincided with a dramatic decline in watch interest, you're right. You're right. Yep. As soon as I came on the scene, the industry started to crumble. The watch hobby started to fall apart. Is it a coincidence? I think not. I think not. So this is what's happening with the industry. Okay. They got an artificial bump because of COVID. Now they had a huge drop because of COVID as well. Production was, they halted production for a couple of months in 2020. And that's why that number is way down. But that number is we're gonna see precipitous declines in annual production of all of these brands going forward for the foreseeable future. Okay. Logan Hall, star of Logan Hall's Grill Streams, is in the chat, member of the OC channel. OC spent an unusual amount of time with Constant Wang. His name is Kwong, Constant Kwong, behind closed doors in Dubai. No, we were actually not behind closed doors. We were in a private Rolex area. We were in the Rolex booth at Dubai Watch Week. It was cool. It was cool seeing Constant there. Met up with a lot of great people at Dubai Watch Week. And by the way, we're 8 weeks away. 8 weeks away. We're actually less than 8 weeks away from Watches and Wonders in Geneva. I'll be there doing live coverage. Live coverage from Geneva. Or maybe I won't. Maybe I'll just enjoy it and I won't stream it at all. No promises. I have no obligation to stream it, but maybe I will. Maybe I will. David J. Goncalves. I want to pronounce your name correctly, but I'm not sure if that is correct. I'll just say David J. David J. So basically the charts are saying that the quality of this is English, quality of quantity for watches and massive premiumization towards again, English is not your best friend. This sentence is poorly constructed sentence. But yeah, some of the key findings are that the move towards consolidation, premiumization, consolidation at the absolute top, that trend continues. Rolex is gaining market share. Cartier is gaining market share. AP is gaining market share. Patek's gaining market share. Richard Mille is gaining market share. Did I say Richard Mille already? Those brands are gaining market share. And a couple of the other ones in isolated examples are doing better. Like Christian Ward did a little bit better, but it's basically a small, meaningless brand anyway. So who cares if they do tangent, they do like a little bit better. It's not going to move the needle for the entire industry. All right. The big winners, Rolex, Cartier, AP, Patek, Richard Mille. Everybody else is in trouble. And some brands are in big, big trouble. Okay? That's the top line. Now, if you have a specific brand you want me to cover, I will cover it. But I do want to present some key findings. And so once I catch up on the chat, I'm going to go through some key findings from the Morgan Stanley report. John D in the chat, oddly, this chart mirrors the pocket watch market of the 1910s to 1940s. I remember that. I was around for that. And that was a brutal time. I remember year after year after year, we would review the pocket watch numbers, and they were going down. It was a sad time for the pocket watch industry. Those days are, leave a indelible impression on me from when I was growing up. Thank you, John D. We have the Ghost of Yiddish Gambino in the chat, member of the OC channel. Interesting that the brands that grew this year, other than the top 4 brands, are a mix of lower and higher value brands. Christian Ward, MB&F. MB&F did grow a little bit. Raymond Weil. Raymond Weil actually appears in the top 50 for the first time. Yeah. Moser, Jorn, Louis Vuitton. Louis Vuitton did not grow. Louis Vuitton did not grow. Louis Vuitton was a big loser in 2025. Don't look at the revenue numbers. Look at their annual production. Look at the trend of their production. The interest in Louis Vuitton watches. Now, understand what they're doing is they're jacking up the prices of these watches. They're, every watch that they make is 100,000, 200,000, 300,000. Very expensive. So they're moving super high end, but their impact on the industry is actually dropping. No one's buying these watches. Jacob & Co. Jacob & Co. I don't really even trust their numbers. Jacob & Co. is kind of like a joke. I mean, nothing Jacob & Co. does influences the Swiss watch industry. They're not even barely a Swiss watch brand. I consider them like a jewelry brand. All of their design is done on a cocktail napkin on 57th Street. Jacob & Co. isn't really even a significant watch brand. Yes, it was the toughest years of my childhood. Yeah, it was. It was tough. Hawkeye's in the chat. Grand Seiko is stealing massive market share from the Swiss. We don't know that. We don't know that, Hawkeye. We do not know that. This report only covers Swiss watches and the Swiss watch brands. I don't think Grand Seiko is doing that well. But I'm not a big fan of the brand. Hey, look at this. We got the franchise clubs. Who this is, I'm not quite sure because I know who the franchise club is. Who's the franchise clubs in plural? $5 super chat. Good afternoon, OC and chat. I have upvoted. Any update on Uncle Manny and his predictions? Masalito. I don't cover Uncle Manny. I don't trust Uncle Manny as far as I can throw him. I would never buy a watch from anybody on 47th Street. That's just me. That's just me. And least of all, some big fat guy, some big fat loudmouth who 3 weeks ago was saying one thing, how like the market's going down, the market's crashing, the market's going down, everything's available, it's all available, buy it now, it's prices. Now he's saying the prices are going up. Like literally 2 or 3 weeks ago, correct me if I'm wrong, chat, franchise clubs, hold Fat Manny's feet to the fire. Wasn't he 2 or 3 or 4 weeks ago saying things are going down, things are crashing, people, don't trust anybody, it's all available? Within the last week, he's saying the opposite. He's saying prices are going up. If you need it, get it now. Everything's going up. He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. Fuck these shysters on 47th Street. But thank you for the super chat. And by the way, that was a very pleasant greeting. I think these pleasant greetings are rubbing off. A lot of people now following in the footsteps of these pleasant greetings. Thank you for upvoting. Thank you for reminding everyone to upvote. All right. Does anybody want me to cover any specific brand before I jump into my own thing? Because I'm going to share now with you guys the key findings from the Morgan Stanley report. Okay. Hold on. Key findings coming up. All right. Now I want to thank Oliver Mueller, who of Lux Consult, who co-authored the report. He probably wrote the whole thing. And I'm going to share with you his analysis of what happened in 2025. Are you guys ready? Are you ready? Let me just change the screen real quick. I'll just do something. Let me show you just something a little bit more interesting. If anybody wants to know more detail about any of these, we're not only going to go through the top 12, we're going to go through the top 50. Okay, we're going to go through the top 50. Okay, so stand by. We're going to go brand by brand. We're going to do the most exhaustive analysis you ever heard in your life. Okay. Hello, Ramesh. Welcome. Ramesh wants to know about Akrivia. Akrivia is not a top 50 brand. Akrivia and Reshepi are not top 50 brands. Okay. Thank you for the comment, though. We know we have all the data. We have all the data. Now, here are the findings. According to Oliver Mueller, author of the Morgan Stanley Swiss Watch Industry Report. Key finding number 1, the structural polarization is intensifying. What does that mean? Okay, what he means, and this is one of the biggies, and we've seen this over the past several years, that the 4 biggest brands are becoming more and more powerful every year. They're concentrating their power, and more people are buying these 4 brands than these are the only brands that are really growing. So who are those brands? And because I've been saying this for several years. You're like, oh, but OC, you're an elitist watch channel. Why do you only push these brands? Because I'm giving you the right advice. According to Morgan Stanley, the brands that are growing are Rolex, Patek, AP, and Richard Mille. Okay? And just those 4 brands alone control nearly 50% of the market. Okay? So 50% of the market is concentrated in the brands that are approved brands on this channel. Rolex, Patek, AP, and Richard Mille. Okay? They're concentrating their power. The industry, the hobby, the customers are concentrating on those 4 brands. They're getting rid of other brands and buying those brands. Okay? What's another big finding? Omega didn't perform well in 2025. I can cover it in detail if someone super chats. We'll get to it eventually. But Omega didn't perform well in 2025. And why? Why didn't Omega perform well? You guys know as well as I do. Right? You guys know as well as I do. Okay. Now, the next finding from Oliver Mueller is that the number of brands that are generating more than $1 billion in revenue, that's going down. Okay? So if you look at this chart here, you can see that there are only 6 brands that generate over 1 billion Swiss francs in annual revenue. Okay? Now, in the past, more brands actually did very well. Those brands are shrinking. Okay? The top 6 brands control almost the entire market. Rolex, Cartier, watch division, AP, Patek, Omega, Richard Mille. Those are the brands, the only brands that make more than $1 billion. And you're not going to see, in all likelihood, any other brand break the 1 billion revenue mark ever again. Okay? Now, next key finding, Rolex. Rolex gained a whole percentage point in market share. I mean, you'd think that Rolex is big enough. No, they're still getting bigger and bigger and bigger every year. Their market share is increasing. And look at how big they are. I mean, they're as big as the next several brands combined, yet they're still getting bigger and getting more and more market share. Now, next key finding, Cartier. Cartier did actually pretty dang good in 2025. We'll go through the details shortly. But Cartier, I mean, over the last few years, moved up from number 3 to number 2. They overtook Omega. And they're actually up 3% over the last 6-7 years. So meaning like 3% in market share. You know how hard it is to get like 1% market share in the watch industry? It's really, really tough. So they actually gained 3 whole points in market share over the last 6 years. Cartier watches are on fire, doing very, very well. Richemont. Now, Richemont is, how do we put this? Not doing very well. Okay, Richemont lost as a whole, if you look at the group. Now, the group includes, Richemont includes Cartier, but it also includes like IWC and Vacheron, Van Cleef & Arpels, Mont Blanc. There's a lot of stuff that's in Richemont. A lot of it's not doing well. IWC is doing okay. IWC is doing okay. The Swatch Group, key insight number 7, the Swatch Group, not doing well. Not doing well. They lost a couple of percentage points across all of their brands, highlighted by, of course, Omega. Omega is their biggest brand, and they lost a lot. Okay? And then I think finally we can say that LVMH, their watch brands are the worst, the absolute worst performers. Okay? And I'm going to go through that in detail. But Tag Heuer is down, Hublot is way down, and Zenith is almost out of business. And I called that a few weeks ago on the show, that Zenith was basically not profitable. Zenith's production numbers are staggeringly low. Staggeringly low. Okay. Now, we've got 50 brands to go through. We can start at the top with Rolex, and we can work our way down, or we can start with any specific brands that you want to. It's up to you guys. Let me know how you want to proceed. But we have all the production data going back 6 years. We've got the revenue data. We've got it all. You're not going to find a more exhaustive analysis than right here. If anybody wants to jump on the panel, the link is pinned at the top of the chat. Link is pinned at the top of the chat. We already covered Tudor. Let's see. I'll give you guys a multiple choice. Do you want to cover Rolex first, or do you want to cover Omega first, or do you want to cover Tag Heuer? I'll pick 3 brands at random. Original Math, this is not Omega. Okay. He really doesn't want us to talk about Omega. I'm going to have to talk about them. I'm going to have to at some point give you guys the full analysis on Omega. You want to talk about Rolex, Omega, or Tag Heuer? Which one? And if you have a brand other than those, super chat it, and we'll cover it. By the way, and because the franchise clubs offered a $5 super chat, feel free to name a brand if you want. Julius Caesar in the chat. Hodinkee had the wrong sales figure. OC was right. Still very stagnant for them, though. I mentioned that at the beginning of the broadcast. Not a single journalist in the industry reviewed that number and questioned it. I was the only person who questioned that number. And just to recap, you guys recall this. This was published by Vontobel Equity Research, which conducts analysis on the Swiss watch industry. They published this figure, and I called it out. I said, I don't believe this number. I think this number is wrong. This $1.677 billion number. I think it's wrong. I think they fucked up. No one caught it. Not a single, no one at Monochrome caught it. Andy Hoffman didn't catch it. Waco didn't catch it. Benjamin Clymer didn't catch it. Watch Pro didn't catch it. SJX didn't catch it. They just published all this data and they never questioned it. I was the only person who said, you know what? I don't like that number. Sure enough, I was right because it's not 1.677. The reality is it is 2.2 billion. Okay, they were off by 500 million. And I was the only person who said it. We bring you the real watch news here. We don't have a panel of fucking imbeciles yelling at each other, calling each other names, and destroying each other. This is a boring, old-fashioned watch channel. So if you want to talk about watches, click on the link in the chat. Fort Apache, welcome to the channel. You look new. Morgan Stanley and Vontobel Equity Research numbers are both bullshit. They don't have access to any actual data. It's guesstimates. And without methodology, it's meaningless. Come on, don't burst our bubble. Don't burst our bubble, Fort Apache. You know, we live for these production numbers. We want to know, how many did this guy produce? How many did that brand produce? You know, if we don't have numbers, you know, it's real or fake. Let's just go with it. Let's just go with these numbers. No, actually, if Oliver Mueller from Lux Consult wants to jump on and talk about the methodology behind how they source these numbers, he's free to jump on. I know he's watching. Although it is late. It's late in Switzerland. Thank you, Fort Apache. Become a member. Become a member. Make sure you subscribe, enable notifications. Welcome to the channel. How did you find us, by the way? Let us know. We want to know how you stumbled upon the channel. In OC, we trust. You should trust the smart expertise and analysis of the original OC channel, because we're going to guide you in the right direction. Guide you in the right direction. All right, let's cover, gosh, there's very low engagement in the chat, very low engagement. No, you guys don't really care about which brand you want to cover first. Oh. Been watching in secret. Saw you at a New York City watch gathering video that you posted. Oh, yeah? Cool. Well, welcome. Did you see me? Was it 1916 Company or Bucherer? Or you don't have to say. Thanks for watching. All right, let's talk about Rolex. Rolex. Okay, in 2025, Rolex had annual production of 1.15 million units. Annual what they call turnover. This is basically the wholesale value of 11 billion Swiss francs. Now, how does that relate to prior years? Well, it's 1.15 million this year, or 2025. In prior years, it was 1.176, 1.24, 1.2, 1.05. And of course, in 2020, it was a disastrous year. It's only 810,000 units. But if you go from 2021 onward, it's basically 1 million units a year. They're now up to like 1.1 million units a year. So they're keeping production stable. They're keeping production stable. Now, I do have, thanks to my friends at Coronet Magazine, a lot of you guys, it's kind of an industry kind of inside thing, but check this out. Check this out. This is boom. This is a recent shot of the new Rolex production site in Buhl, Switzerland. This site is going to be up and operational by 2029. So we're doing live drone coverage of the facility production in Buhl, Switzerland. As you can see, all the way in the far back, that's like current Rolex facility. And then that's how they're expanding it. They're expanding it. So it's going to be huge. It's going to be huge. This is the thank you to my friends at Coronet Magazine. And let's see here. Also, the photo credit is Pedro Gutierrez. Thank you, Pedro Gutierrez, for the photograph. This is the new production facility that they're building in Buhl, Switzerland, which will be up and running in 2029. So that's Rolex. That's Rolex for you. From a kind of a turnover perspective or a revenue perspective, over the last several years, they're growing. You know, in 2023, it was 10 billion Swiss francs. Then it was 10.6 billion Swiss francs, and now it's 11 billion Swiss francs. So the prices are going up. Their production is pretty flat. So they're performing very, very well. Okay. This is going to be a massive, who knows what they're going to do. I mean, by 2029, maybe they'll be like ready to produce 2 million units a year. That'll be insane. Got Turtle Knight in the chat. What's up, Turtle Knight? Welcome. How is Christian Ward on this list when it's a British-based company? You know, I think it's a Swiss, it's technically a Swiss-made watch. So like, according to the Swiss-made standard, like the movement and stuff like that is Swiss-made. So like, I think it's considered a Swiss. I think it's exported from Switzerland. I think, right? So that's how they made it. That's how they made it. I mean, I can't imagine that they produced nearly 40,000 watches. And their watches are expensive too. Their watches are expensive. According to the 2025 Morgan Stanley report, Christian Ward made in revenue 51 million Swiss francs. They're a $50 million company. That's pretty good. That's like that's almost half the size of a luxury bazaar. Sorry, couldn't resist. Let's see, Julius Caesar. Yep, Swiss made. Gotcha. Swiss made watches. Hey, Jonathan Smith in the chat. VOC, doing it and doing it well. Thank you very much. We're doing live coverage of the Morgan Stanley report. We're the only people who have it. The only people who will be doing a live stream about it. And we've got all of the results. Going back years. We have the production numbers going back years and years. John D. Christian Ward really chasing Longines and Oris market share. Yeah, Longines and Oris they're going to be struggling. I think they're going to be struggling over the next few years. We've got Oris numbers. We've got the Longines numbers. But we're going to get to all the, we're going to go brand by brand through the entire thing. So any questions on Rolex? Any questions on Rolex? Rolex, the number one brand. And if you add up the next like 4 brands underneath them, still not as big as Rolex. So they're the best. Reach for the crown. Reach for the crown. Is that a question in the chat, Julius Caesar? Let me know. Type out your question. I'm happy to answer it. Or if you guys are chatting amongst yourselves, let me know. So I'm going to go from Rolex to number 2, Cartier. Number 2, Cartier. Now, Cartier. They've done amazing stuff over the last few years. Just to give you an idea, in 2020, they produced 490,000 units. 490,000 units, okay? And over the next 5 years, their annual production went from 490 to 600, then 620, then 660, then 680, and then in 2025, 695,000 units. 695,000 units. 695,000 units. That's absolutely incredible. This is just watches. It doesn't include jewelry. It doesn't include diamonds and all that other stuff. Cartier watches. What a phenomenon. 695,000 units. Now, annual turnover, annual revenue generated 3.5 billion. 3.5 billion. This compares to 3.2 billion in 2024 and 3.1 billion in 2023. So they're growing. They're growing revenue. They're up over 10% in revenue over the last 2 years. Pretty phenomenal. Pretty phenomenal. And Cartier is one of the few brands where all of their collections are kind of iconic. You know, there's so many collections that Cartier has. Of course, they have the Santos. They have the Tank. What else do they have? They've got the Ballon Bleu. They've got the Bang Noir. They've got the Crash, which I don't think is like a current production. They've got the Panthier. Everyone has that Cartier design language, that iconography, but everything is slightly different. They've got the Tortue. Shout out to people who have the Tortue. That Tortue Monopoussoir. I think those are going for like over $100,000 now. They've got the Pasha. Got so many different collections, and they're all kind of cool. All kind of cool. The Tank never goes out of style. The Santos is a big hit. It's like the #1 watch of gay guys. Nothing wrong with that. If you're gay, chances are you're wearing Cartier. Nothing wrong with that. Earls says, has the time come to admit Cartier into the fraternity of approved brands? No. They are not an approved brand. Hey, look at this. Ghost of Yiddish Gambino's in the chat. Huge fan of Cartier. Thank you for the super chat. $1.99 flamingo blue highlighted comment. And the price per unit for Cartier is still accessible. That is a good point. The average price point for Cartier is still quite attainable. According to the data, let me pull it up here. The average price, the average retail price for Cartier is $6,100. Yeah, because they make a lot of stuff that's, they make like quartz tanks that are $3,000. So like it's got the lowest, other than Longines. Well, Tissot is kind of cheap too. Tissot's number is in the top 10, but it's Tissot is the cheapest, then Longines, and then after that Cartier, the most affordable of the top 10 Swiss brands. 6,100 average price for a Cartier, average retail price for a Cartier. 695,000 units, 3.5 billion in revenue generated. Good point, Ghost of Yiddish Gambino. Thank you for bringing that up. The Crash is still in production. Okay. Welcome, Lionel Vimenio. Welcome to the OC channel. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you have notifications enabled. We do live streams about watch industry news, breaking news, new releases, all that good stuff here. We have no schedule, no nothing. Usually we don't do any prep or research or planning, but today we did a ton of research and a lot of planning. I put together a bunch of spreadsheets for today's show. And Cartier is Cartier. No snobbery if you're wearing a $5,000 Santos Dumont or a $500,000 jewelry piece. It's still recognized as a Cartier. That is the thing that's so incredible about Cartier is if you're wearing a $7,000 or $8,000 Santos or a $3,000 tank, it still is classy and as timeless as anything. Yeah. I think Cartier and Rolex are able to do that more than any other brand. You see a $5,000 Rolex, it still looks like a great Rolex. You have no idea whether it's $5,000 or $15,000 or $20,000. You just look at it and go, wow, that's a great Rolex. Same with Cartier. Cartier is, it's more than just a women's watch, It's women, it's gay people, some guys, some guys in there too. By the way, if you just realized that this channel is a lot of satire and comedy, we do comedy and satire as well. Someone sent me a message the other day. They're like, OC, like, you're such a moron. It's not called the Submariner No Date. It's called the Submariner. I know. All right. I love covering these approved brands. So we have a few approved brands coming up. AP and Patek. AP and Patek coming up, approved brands. Let's do a little poll. Let's do a little guessing game, shall we? I know there are a lot of people watching, but you guys are at work, you're not paying attention. So let me ask you this question. Number 3 is AP. Audemars Piguet. Let me ask you this question. Now, don't cheat. Don't cheat, guys. Like, you're on the honor system. In 2020, which was just 5 years ago, 2020, this date is for 2025. In 2020, how many watches did AP produce? What was AP's annual production in 2020? Start typing in guesses in the chat. Okay? Keep guess. I want to see a bunch of guesses flying in. How many units did AP produce in the year 2020? You can see what they produced in 2025. It's up on the screen. 53,000. Okay? You tell me, how many did they make in 2020? There's no wrong answer, guys. Just guess. It's fun. You can be wrong. There's no wrong answer. Tobister McDonkey, what watch do you buy at the $20,000 to $25,000 price point, OC? That's a tough question because that's kind of a middle ground. Like between 20 and 40 is kind of like a weird middle ground. You know? I mean, the best $25,000 watch is Vacheron Overseas. You know, but I don't recommend that you buy it. There's tons of great Daytonas, great Rolex under 20,000. Tons of great Rolex under 20,000. Once you start to go over 25,000, AP Royal Oak is at 31,000, right? Vacheron is around 26, 27,000. That's a weird price point for buying a watch. Can you splurge, Tobister, and go above 25? That's the key. Lionel Vimeno says AP produced 60,000 watches in 2020. Don't cheat, guys. There's nothing more. There's nothing worse than a cheater. The mall says 40,000 in 2020. Easy says they made 30,000 in 2020. Keep the guesses flying in. AP has done incredibly well. They've increased production from, the mall nailed it, 40,000 units. 40,000 units in 2020, up to 45, then 50, then 51, then finally 53. So they're 53,000. They're increasing production bit by bit. Just a couple of years ago, AP was at 2.35 million in revenue, and it's gone from 2.35 to 2.38. So basically the same. What are they now? 2.6. Wow. So they went from 2.35 to 2.6 billion in Swiss francs. That's a pretty nice jump. That's like a 10% jump in revenue over the last few years. Any questions about AP? We've done Rolex. We did Cartier. We did AP. We did Tudor earlier. Any requests? Any requests for specific brands you want covered? Anybody want to jump the line? We're going to cover all 50 brands. So like buckle in. We're going to do the most exhaustive analysis. You're not going to find this kind of analysis anywhere on YouTube. Next is Patek Philippe. Patek Philippe. Now, Patek Philippe in 2020 produced 53,000 units. 53,000 units. And over the past 5 years, they had a big jump in 2021 where they increased from 53,000 to 68,000 units. And they've been maintaining that level for the past several years, 68,000, then 70, then 72. And their revenue has gone from just a couple of years ago, 2 billion, up to 2.5 billion. Yeah, so they increased, Patek Philippe's revenue increased by over 20% in the past 2 years alone. Wow. Patek is a huge winner. A huge winner. Revenue up 20% on the same volume, basically, as over the past 2 years. Now, Patek's got to be careful. They got to be careful because, as we all know, there are 3 collections that go for way over retail, and then there are a whole bunch of other collections that go for way under retail. And balancing that out is really walking that tightrope where you have a Calatrava and a Complication and Grand Complication all going for 35% under retail, and you have Cubitus, Aquanaut, and Nautilus all going for double, triple retail. That's really, really hard tightrope to walk. So Patek needs to be careful. Patek needs to be careful here. 72,000 units is a lot of watches. 2.5 billion. If LVMH, no doubt, make no mistake, LVMH will offer at least 50 billion to buy Patek Philippe. I think they will. And I think it would be a good offer. Will Terry Stern and the Stern family accept a $50 billion offer for Patek Philippe? That's the question. Because it's going to come. It's going to come because LVMH watches are in the doghouse. In the absolute doghouse. We're going to be covering LVMH group brands coming up. And they're a disaster. LVMH is spending $1 billion over 10 years to promote their brands during Formula One, including like making Tag Heuer the official timekeeper of Formula One. It's not going to work. It's not going to work, guys. My prediction is Tag Heuer has peaked. We'll be getting to Tag Heuer's number 11. We'll get to it. If you just joined us, this is the original OC channel. I'm your host, OC. This is Smartwatch Talk for the Smart Collector. We're doing breaking news. The Morgan Stanley Swiss Watch Industry Report is out. I want to thank Morgan Stanley and my good friends at Lux Consult for providing the data. Anything that's copyrighted or owned by anybody is being played here and shown and shared consistent with United States copyright laws under fair use. Okay? Vimal who's a member of the channel, says all these brands ramped up for COVID stimulus checks and the China spike. Now it's back to earth. It's not only back to earth, but it's falling big time. Yeah. The interesting thing is that the United States market is very tied to consumer confidence. Like the market for Swiss watches in the United States is different than the market in other places, in the sense that the stock market and investment class financial assets, the health of those things impacts the health of the Swiss watch market. If the stock market's not doing well, or if crypto's tanking, or if home prices are going down or whatever, if the economy is not good in the United States, people don't buy watches. But the United States is the biggest market for Swiss watches. And we've had an insatiable desire over the past 5 years for these things. We all bought way too many watches. We spent way too much money on watches. And now the chickens are coming home to roost. Are you buying watches? Are you buying watches? I say be careful. Be careful. 50 billion is a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer, yes, for the Sterns. Maybe it is. Maybe they don't want to sell at 50 billion. Maybe they won't sell no matter the price. Who is to say? I would encourage them not to sell. Hold on to the company. Keep it for the next generation. What's the saying? You don't own Patek Philippe. You merely look after it for the next generation. That's what Terry Stern's doing. His responsibility is to look after it for the next generation of stewards. Don't sell, Terry. Don't sell. Okay? Please don't sell. All right. So we've covered, just to recap, we covered Rolex, Cartier, AP, and Patek. We kind of covered Omega, right? We covered Omega. Let's briefly cover Omega again. In 2020, Omega's annual production was 500,000 units. Okay? They went from 500 up to 570. And then they were bouncing around between like 500 and 570. And in 2022, they were at 520. Then they went up to 570 again. Then they dropped from 570. This is in 2023, they were at 570. They dropped from 570,000 to 505 in 2024. And they've dropped again from 505 down to 460 in 2025. So that is a pretty significant drop. They've dropped from 570,000 units to 460,000 units in 2 years. That's a drop of 110,000 units. That's basically like pretty close to a 20% drop in annual production. In the meantime, the prices are going through the roof. Annual revenue over that same time period, 2023, was 2.6 billion. Then it dropped to 2.4 billion. And now in 2025 is 2.2 billion. So they basically dropped from 2.6 billion 2 years ago to 2.2 billion in revenue. I think Omega is in trouble. And this is the best Swatch brand. This is the best watch brand. If that's the best watch brand, and you've got others that are performing much worse, Swatch Group is in trouble, guys. I don't think they're worth $200 a share. I think they're worth about $80 a share. I would pay, if it dropped down to $80 a share, I'd buy it. But I'm not going to buy it at $200 a share. And again, this is not financial advice, and I'm not registered with the Securities and Exchange Commission, and I'm not giving investment advice or anything like that. Okay. Four-star reviews in the chat. What's up, four-star review? Welcome to the channel. Tobister really wants to know, what watch do you buy at the $20,000 to $25,000 price point? OC, no Geezer Pateks. Let's see, what's new? What's new at $20,000 to $25,000? You know, I don't know. I can't recommend a watch between $20,000 and $25,000. There's no new watch that I recommend between $20,000 and $25,000. I can't think of any. First of all, you can't get any Pateks. Can't get any Pateks between $20,000 and $25,000. You go with Rolex. Go with Rolex under $20,000. You know, there's tons of incredible choices. You got stainless steel Datejusts, you got stainless steel GMT Master 2s, you got Submariners, Daytonas if you can get it, Sky Dwellers. You can even get two-tone Datejusts. You can get the root beer. You can get a Guinness. Lots of choices. But those are all under 20,000. I can't think of a good watch 20 to 25,000. Wait, save your money, put the 20,000 in a good investment. And a couple of years from now, that 20 will hopefully turn into 25, or that 25 will turn into 30. Or you can sell some pieces, consolidate, and get a day date. You know, if you don't have a day date, you can get a great day date for probably 25,000, right? A vintage day date. I mean, you probably want to go with the Crown and just get a yellow gold day date for 25,000. Okay. And but listen, I don't feel strongly about it one way or the other. But be very, very careful. Be very, very careful. You already have the Guinness. Okay, cool. Well then, I mean, don't feel the need to buy any watches. You already have a Guinness. You're good. Just kick back. Wait till Watches and Wonders. You know, Rolex may introduce something else. But don't buy anything. You see, if you already have a Guinness, that's already a $20,000 watch, almost, right? Don't buy anything under 20. Your next watch should be a $40,000 watch. Your next watch should be a precious metal Daytona, or a Daytona on Oyster Flex, or a day date. Okay. And I know that's like OC, why do you always recommend the Crown? Why do you always recommend Rolex? Because it's the safe choice. It's the best choice. It's the safest choice. There was a time where other YouTubers used to shove Rolex down your throat, and it was a smart thing. Now they're talking about Zenith and Breguet and JLC. What happened to those guys? What happened to all the good quality YouTubers? You know, there's a bunch of really bad opinions on YouTube. My job is to not be one of those. I'm going to give you the good advice. I see a lot of other YouTubers are actually coming around. I see Britt Pierce and other people making videos saying, like, don't buy Omega, don't buy Tudor. I'm glad they're finally coming around. They were giving advice that was a little bit gray for a couple of years there. I was always consistent. Don't buy Omega, don't buy Tudor. And it was the best advice. Right now, for 20 to 25,000, you're going to save up. You're going to get a Daytona, or you're going to get a day date, Sky Dweller, something like that. But you're going to go with Rolex, Tobister, because Rolex is the best. Okay. We got Peeps in the chat. Peeps, welcome to the channel. Please subscribe. Please become a member. Come on, you guys. Become members. We have the highest percentage of members per subscribers of any live stream channel anywhere on YouTube. And I think that's awesome. But let's keep it up. We got to keep our membership levels stratospherically high. So become a member today. What would you say is a good investment in 2026, OC? It's funny that you bring this up because I just had like a big chunk of money that was in 3-month T-bills that just matured yesterday. So I have like I'm not going to tell you what the amount is, but let's just say it's like 10 million. Okay, it's not 10 million. Never mind. Scratch that. OC's loaded. No, it's just there was a chunk of, there was a 90-day T-bill that matured yesterday. So I got this chunk that's sitting there, and I'm thinking about the same thing. What's a good investment? Where should I park that money? I don't know. But I don't know for sure. I don't know for sure yet. I think a little bit. I think you should dabble a little bit in crypto. Dabble a little bit in crypto. Where is crypto today? Let's check it out. It's probably down. And the question is, like, is crypto going down, like down, or is it just like bouncing around the low level? It'll come back. I have no idea. No, we don't do financial advice here. We try to shy away from it. Let's see. We got Bitcoins at 66,000. XRP is at $1.42. Ethereum is at 1940. Some of the stuff's getting hammered, right? I would say I don't want to give you guys financial advice. So I'm not buying gold coins easy. I'm not buying silver. I'm probably going to go into some safe stuff, you know. If the software companies have been hammered, I might go into some software companies. I might go back into tech, a nice technology ETF like QQQ or whatever. You guys will be the first to know. Vimal is recommending Breguet. I say no. I'm going to say no to Vimal on that one. Say no to Breguet on that. Don't buy Breguet. Breguet's in huge trouble. Breguet's in massive trouble. We're going to be covering Breguet coming up, but they're not even here shown on the screen because they're that far down. I will never touch crypto unless I want to lose money, and don't mind. Well, that's a way you have to think about it. You should not put so much money in crypto that if you lose it, that it'll kill your retirement. Which means that, you have to take small wins. If 5% of your 5% of your retirement is in crypto, that's probably a safe number. Now, there are other people like Aussie Expat, he has like 25 or 30% of his investment portfolio in crypto. Or Bitcoin, I should say, because he has a distinction between Bitcoin and crypto. So if he has 2 million out of his 8 million net worth in crypto, that's a lot. If it goes way up, he's a big winner. If he loses it all, though, that's 2 million down the drain. So you have to be able to have the funds to dollar cost average it, right? Peep says, so when sectors like Bitcoin and tech get hammered, you double down? The answer is yes. I always have cash standing by so I can dollar cost average. So I've done that with XRP. I do that with key stocks if they go down. But most of my stock investments have always performed very, very well. Tesla, Amazon, Meta, Google, Netflix. I mean, they've all crushed. They almost never go to Apple. Made a fortune in Apple. Longa 1 Saxonia. No, Vimal, no, don't do that. Don't buy Longa. Don't buy Longa Julius Caesar. Just hang tight. Don't do anything. That's the safe bet. Hey, look at this. We've got Mikey in the chat. Huge fan of Oasis and a member of the channel, member at the senior consultant level. Wow, that's incredible. Senior consultant level. I almost flew to London to see Oasis with Mikey. That would have been fun. That really would have been fun. Evening OC and crew, I would spend $20,000 on Rolex. Simples. Become members, guys. Legends. Thank you. Become a member. Like Mikey. By the way, I may be traveling to Toronto. We may be doing a meetup in Toronto, and I may be going to the Rush concert in Toronto. If you're a fan of Rush, and you're going to be seeing Rush at Scotia Dome. Is that how you pronounce it? Scotia Dome? It's like the name of the arena there in Toronto. If you're going to see Rush in August at the Scotia Dome Arena, reach out to me. We may be doing a secret meetup. Well, it's not secret anymore, but we may be doing a secret meetup in Toronto in early August. And I may be at one of those Rush concerts. I can't think of anything more fun than going to see Rush in front of a Canadian audience. How fun will that be, right? How long have you been in the market? I've been in the market since I was in my 20s. But I started buying stocks heavily in 2016. So that's when I had like significant investment assets. 2016, I bought a lot of Amazon, Google, Apple, and made a fortune. That's where I made. Oh, how did you make your fortune, OC? I made my fortune in the stock market. Primarily Amazon, Google, Apple, Meta. Thank you, peeps, for the. I don't mind sharing. I can share. So basically 2000. I mean, I was investing in stocks even before that. I remember I bought Tesla when it was $28 a share, and then I sold it in 2012. That was a massive mistake. But who knew? Who knew back then that Tesla was going to be so big? So like I missed out on a lot of them. But I can't complain. I've done very well. I have done very well. All right, let's get back to the Morgan Stanley report. This is the original OC channel, Smartwatch Talk for the Smart Collector. We're covering in detail the Morgan Stanley Swiss watch industry report. We've covered these brands so far. We covered Omega. Next up is Richard Mille, number 6 on the list for 2025. Now, it's funny because you can see what Richard Mille's annual production is in 2025. Do you want to guess what it was in 2020? If you feel like guessing, quickly type in the chat how many units you think they produced in 2020. Don't cheat. Don't look it up, guys. Don't use chat GXP to look it up. But if you want to guess quickly, how many units did Richard Mille produce in 2020? And I'll tell you, I'll go through the whole chronology. You can see that in 2025, they produced nearly 6,000 units. How is that even possible? I mean, that's a lot of watches. And the thing about Richard Mille is their average retail price is $294,000. Oh my gosh. $294,000 per watch, average retail price. That is insane. Absolutely insane. Hey, got Andy Lewis in the chat with his customary greeting from the Lone Star State. Andy Lewis is a member. Howdy, y'all. Oasis in London would have been a lot of fun. OC next time. Definitely next time. Mikey, massive fan of Oasis. He's always posting some cool stuff on Instagram. Every day, Mikey's got some stuff on Instagram I check out. By the way, I know most of you guys follow me on Instagram, so it's the original OC on Instagram. Follow me today. I bet like 99.9% of you guys follow me on Instagram. Okay, next is Richard Mille. Nobody is guessing their production in the chat. So I will reveal that the production in 2020 was 4,300 units. They went from 4,300 units, they jumped up to 5,000, then 5,300, then 5,600, then 5,700, and now 5,950, nearly 6,000 units at $294,000 a piece. That is a very, very big jump over the last 5 years. Huge jump. And their annual revenue has done very well. In 2025, you can see here, 1.75 billion Swiss francs. The prior year, that was 1.55 billion. And in 2023, that was 1.54 billion. So basically, they went from 1.55 billion to 1.75 billion. Revenue is up. Revenue is up. And production is way up for Richard Mille. I don't know how they do it. I can't imagine that they're selling nearly 6,000 units a year at $294,000 a piece average price. Hey, got Boxer fans in the chat. What's up, Boxer? $10 super chat. Good afternoon, OC and the chat. What's everyone wearing today? I'm wearing my Daytona. It is the Rolex Daytona on Oysterflex, rose gold, diamond baguette dial. There we go. Reach for the crown. I've been wearing my titanium Yachtmaster lately. It's such an awesome piece. Congratulations on that. That may be a tad too big for me. That's a 42 millimeter watch. But do you think Rolex will come out with additional pieces in titanium this year? I wonder if they will. What do you think is likely, guys? In the chat, let me know. Which do you think, yes or no? It's not going to be a poll question. But do you think Rolex is going to introduce additional pieces in titanium this year? And if so, which collection? What are they going to do? What are your predictions for what Rolex is going to do in 2026? Let me know in the chat. Thank you, Boxer, for the support. I appreciate it. Guys, follow Boxer's lead. Boxer, by the way, because you super chatted, if there's a brand that you want me to cover next, I'll cover it. So we've already covered 1 through 6. We've covered 1 through 6 already. If there's a specific brand that you want me to cover, because of your super chat, I will now cover it in detail. I'll give full detail and analysis. Just type in the brand that you want me to focus on, and I'll go through the analysis right now. John D in the chat. Don't let his young experience fool you. OC bought his first shares of a public company for his 12th birthday right after Woodrow Wilson took office. Did I buy stock after the stock market crash of 1929? Maybe I did. I took advantage of the what did they call the stock market? It was just like the crash, right? The big crash, the Great Depression. No, when the stock market's at an all-time high right now, so it's kind of hard. You know, we were going through Omega stock, the Swatch Group stock. We've been evaluating the Swatch Group stock very carefully because for obvious reasons. Absolutely, OC may not be this year, but definitely the next couple of years, we will see Rolex expand the use of titanium material in their timepieces. They call it RLX titanium, which is kind of silly. It's basically titanium. It's titanium. And I don't know, what will be the next watch to feature titanium? Will it be maybe the Submariner? Would they introduce the Submariner in titanium? I think that would be a massive hit, don't you? Don't you think that would be a massive explosion of interest if they introduced the Submariner in titanium? Fuck, that would be insane. That would be insane. Boxer, is there any brand you want me to cover? Any brand from the top 50? Let me know in the chat. The Pepsi, hey, we've got MD Chaz in the chat. Pepsi will only be available at Bucherer stores. That's an interesting prediction. Pepsi's not even on the Bucherer website. There's no red and blue bezel watches on the Bucherer website. No meteorite Pepsi, no blue dial white gold Pepsi, no stainless steel Pepsi. Nothing. What are they doing with the Pepsi, guys? What are they doing? The Sea Dweller would be the next to get titanium. Do you think there's a chance that they discontinue the Sea Dweller and or the Deep Sea? What do you think? What do you think of that as a prediction? Like, instead of making the Sea Dweller titanium, maybe they're like, you know what? We're just done. We're done with the Sea Dweller. We're done with the Deep Sea. Just kill both of them. Probably a low chance. Low chance they would do it. All right. We're going to get into the next batch of brands. Longines, Vacheron, Breitling, Tissot, Tag Heuer. Tag Heuer's coming up. There's some surprises. Surprises as we get into the rest of the top 10. Easy E says no Pepsi, Coke. Do you mean no Pepsi, no Coke, or you mean no Pepsi, yes Coke? Let me know, Easy E, in the chat. All predictions mean nothing to me. We have to wait until Watches and Wonders. I disagree 100%. We have to speculate. We have to have predictions. We have to think about these things. We have to spend an incredible amount of time. We have to waste an incredible amount of time thinking about what Rolex may do, what they should do, what are they gonna do, what they shouldn't do. That's what we should do. Waste a lot of time thinking about predictions because we've got nothing else to do. Nothing else to do over the next 8 weeks. Okie doke. All right, next up is Longines. Now, Longines, man, used to be a powerhouse. Think about this. At their peak, at their recent peak, 2021, Longines produced 1.8 million watches. Let that sink in. Okay, let that sink in, guys. Because you're not going to get this kind of watch knowledge, this kind of watch trivia or data on any other live streams or any other watch channels. You're going to get boring watch reviews. You're going to get awful collabs. You know, you're going to get like panels of trolls fighting with each other. If you want real watch data, you're going to stay right here. As recently as 2021, Longines produced 1.8 million watches. And since that peak, they've gone from 1.8 million to 1.7, 1.6, and then there was a massive drop in 2024 because of what's going on in China, because China is Longines' one of their most important markets. They dropped from 1.6 million down to 950. China is still struggling, so they've dropped again from 950 down to 780,000. Now, what does that tell you guys? A brand as incredible as Longines in the top 10 that was making 1.8 million watches just a few years ago is now making 800,000 watches. That sounds like trouble to me. Trouble for sure. Longines in 2023 had annual turnover of 1.1 billion Swiss francs. Let me see here. Yeah, they had 1.1 billion Swiss francs that then this year they're at 920. Yeah, so they went from 1.1 to 920. That's a loss of 190 million Swiss francs in 1 year. Longines in trouble. They dropped from a billion-dollar brand down under a billion-dollar brand. Will they ever be a billion-dollar brand again? Probably not. Okay. That's Longines. They're going down, guys. They're going down. Let me see if Longines used to be the number 4 brand. Okay. Used to be the number 4 brand. Now they're number 7. They're slipping. They're slipping, and they're slipping fast. They're dropping. The dropping. Okay. Now, after Longines is a member of the Holy Trinity. Man. Vacheron Constantin. God, celebrating their 271st anniversary this year. It's a big milestone year for Vacheron, celebrating their 271st. All of the 271 celebrations coming this year. But Vacheron, do you think they're in trouble? Well, let me tell you this. I think they're doing okay. I think they are doing okay. Vacheron, listen, their revenue is slipping a little bit. But the production is still good. Their demand is high. So if you look at their production numbers over the past few years, Vacheron produced 23,500 watches in 2020. Now, again, that was the COVID year. So that was a year that they were hit big, that their production was impacted. In 2021, which is probably a better barometer of what their typical production is, they produced 30,000 watches. In 2021, they produced 30,000 watches. Now, that crept up to 32, then 35 in 2023. So they peaked at 35,000 watches. That was their recent peak. And now they're back down. They dropped from 35 to 31, now to 30. So they've reduced production by 5,000 watches over the past 2 years. Okay, they went from 35,000 2 years ago to 30,000 watches. Now, their revenue, 2023, they were a billion-dollar brand. They're at 1.1 billion 2 years ago. They slipped from 1.1 billion to 942, and then from 942 down to 920. Okay, so revenue is declining. Even with the price increases, guys, overall revenue is declining. Now, what's your prediction for Vacheron? My prediction is further revenue declines. It is. I predict Vacheron will have a hard time selling 30,000 watches this year. The average transaction price for Vacheron is $39,000. The average price of a Vacheron is $39,000. That means there's some that sell for less and some that sell for way more. Any questions? Vamal says this is after talking about referring to Longines now. This is after Longines kept jacking up their prices. The volume decline must be insane. Yeah, they went from 1.8 million produced annually to, as you can see on the screen, 780,000. They basically went from 1.8 million to 0.8 million. It's like a 60% reduction over the past several years. A lot of that is China. If China bounces back, maybe the demand for Longines will bounce back. Right. So if a lot of this is macroeconomic. Longines performs well at the lower level. And they're very big in China. Average price of a Longines is $1,900. The average retail price of a Longines is $1,900. I think it's time, says Peeps, that OC pivots to an investment channel. No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Although I would probably give pretty good financial advice. I sometimes I see these guys on Instagram, and their reels or whatever they are make no sense. Have you ever seen like these reels? Like, I'll give you an example of what they're like. It's like, guys, I would like to give you my update for this Thursday. My update is for Tesla. Tesla is currently at $410 a share. I'll be watching Tesla to see if it goes to $420 a share. If it goes to $420 a share and breaks through that level, then I think it might go to $430 a share. If it breaks through that level, the next level is $440 a share. On the downside, however, it might go from $410 a share to $400 a share. If it breaks through that level, it'll go to $390 a share. If it doesn't go to that level, then it'll be above $390. But if it does break that level, it'll go under $390 to $380 would be the next level. It's like, what the fuck's he talking about? Just fucking making shit up. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Oh, if it breaks this level, yeah. You mean if it goes from 410 to 400, then the next number to look at would be 390? No fucking shit. And if it goes back up, it'll go back up. What kind of advice is that? I could give way better financial advice than these guys on Instagram. I'm confused with Vacheron. The production's up and their revenue is down. Does it mean that they're making more entry-level watches now? Excellent question. See, that's the kind of expert analysis. Let's see here. They went from approximately $40,000. Yeah, their average price has been around the same. You know, they went from 40,000 to 39,000. So, average transaction price was at 40, now they're at 39. So they're making the same number of watches, but their revenue is going down. Yeah. Which means that they may be giving up a lot of margin, right? Means that they may be shipping more to dealers instead of selling direct, right? When they shift more to dealers, then they're selling for 40% off, right? Tobister says, I got invited to a Longines boutique grand opening at the Topanga Mall next week. Cool. Let us know how it goes. Take pictures and send it to me on Instagram. I'd be happy to highlight them. I have faith in Vacheron. Well, I think it's going to be hard for them to get back over $1 billion. I think it's going to be hard. Next up is Breitling. Breitling's done really, really well over the past few years. I mean, they're owned by venture capital. Georges Cairn is in charge of Breitling on behalf of the venture capital company. And they've just been doing really, really well. Now, let's analyze Breitling in detail. Now, remember 2020 was a COVID year. They produced about 148,000 watches, but then they bounced way up. They bounced back up in 2021 to 190,000 units. So what's been happening with Breitling? They went from 190,000 units in 2021 to 230,000 units. Absolute peak in 2022. But since then, they went from 230 to 178, then down to 160, and now down to 155. So you can calculate that over the last 3 years, their production went from 230,000 to 155,000. That is a 30 plus 40, 75,000 unit decline. That is not insignificant. So I think they, unfortunately, they had their window to sell and they didn't sell. And now they are screwed. I think Breitling may be screwed. They went from 230,000 units in 2022 to 155,000 units in 2025. How did their revenue do? Well, their revenue in 2023, just 2 years ago, revenue was 870. They went from 870 to 850. And now this year they dropped to 820. So not bad. They're still okay. They haven't dropped that much, maybe like 6% in revenue over the last couple of years. That's pretty admirable. But the question is, what does the trajectory look like? And I think they peaked. They peaked a couple of years ago, and it's nowhere to go but down. Tobister says, I didn't know that they had Longines boutiques, and I kind of hate anything Swatch Group, but they make a couple of okay watches with the Ultra Chron movement. Longines makes the Spirit, the Zulu Spirit Time or whatever. They make a couple of nice watches. They make a couple of nice watches. But I don't recommend anybody buy Longines. Don't buy Longines. Whole Milk says Georges Cairn is looking to see if he can get his money back on Universal Genève. I don't think they're going to have the money. I don't think they're going to have the money to invest in Universal Genève or the other brand that they bought. I know people like Dear Artifact are looking forward to Universal Genève. I think you're going to see that they're going to have to stop investing in developing watches for Universal Genève. They're going to have to scrap the project. And they're going to have to focus on the core, which is Breitling. Doc Mick's back in the chat. Good to see you back. Vimal says half of that 155,000 production is on Joma Shop. It's on Joma Shop. Their net margins must be lower too, given that they opened a bunch of boutiques. See, that's actually counterintuitive, Vimal. If they're successful selling direct, their margins get fatter. If they're able to introduce watches that people are willing to pay retail for, and people feel compelled to go to the boutique rather than the authorized dealer, then Breitling actually makes out pretty well. That's been kind of key to Omega's strategy over the past several years, as they've been pushing more and more consumers to the boutiques, which are owned by Omega. And when they sell a watch for retail, they capture all of that rather than capturing only 60% of it when they sell to Bucherer or Watches of Switzerland or any of these retailers. So a little bit counterintuitive, but the more they can convince people to buy from the boutique, the way better it is for them. It's like free money. So yeah, but they do have to pay for real estate and leases and staff and all that stuff. It's a mixed bag. Running retail can be a very risky operation. Okay. That was number 9, Breitling. Number 9, Breitling. Guys, we're at number 9. We got one left to complete the top 10. Should we go through the entire top 50? Should we go through the whole top 50 brands line by line? I got nothing else to do. Maybe we will. We got to cover a couple of these interesting brands, right? I still haven't revealed yet the worst performing brand of 2025. The worst performing brand of 2025 is coming up. You're going to be fucking blown away. No one's guessed it. I don't think anyone's guessed it yet. All right. Rounding out the top 10, we've got the third brand from the Swatch Group. Think about this. Think how big Swatch Group is. They have 3 brands in the top 10: Omega, Longines, and Tissot. Tissot, of course, introduced the Superstar collection, the PRX, a few years ago, and that's been a massive hit. Just an absolutely massive global hit for Tissot. I owned a PRX. It was a great watch. I sold it. I sold it to somebody who wanted to give it as a gift to their nephew, I believe. Shout out to that person. That person is a member of the channel. But Tissot is, I mean, look how big Tissot is in terms of annual production. You know, in 2021, Tissot produced 3.1 million watches. This is a brand that consistently produces way over 2 million watches a year. That's incredible. That's absolutely incredible. Yeah, so Tissot has gone from 3.1 million in 2024. They dropped from 3.1 million to 2.55, and now they've leveled out at 2.48. Still a very, very incredible number. 2.5, basically 2.5 million watches produced per year. And at their peak, at their recent peak, they were just 2 years ago producing 3.1 million watches a year. That's incredible. It's incredible. It's more than Rolex and Longines combined. You know? Longines, if you look at their revenue has gone from, they were part of the $1 billion club a couple of years ago. They were part of the $1 billion club. Actually, no, they weren't. They weren't. They were 825 2 years ago. Then they dropped to 760, and now they're at 720. So over the past 2 years, they dropped from 825 to 760, now to 720. That's a considerable drop, right? From 825 to 720. That's 200 million. It dropped almost 200 million in 2 years. Which is pretty big. I mean, probably 20%. Close to 20% down in revenue over 2 years. So will they come back up? Will they come back up? The average retail price for a Tissot is $465. That's it. They produce 2.5 million watches at an average retail price of $465. Okay. Tissot is probably on a downward trajectory. I mean, Tissot is unfortunately, almost all the brands that we're going to cover are brands that are going down. These may be brands that you know and love, but they're going down. So we've completed the top 10. We're going to now move to the top 20. By the way, if you want to join me on the panel, here's the link. It's also pinned at the top of the chat. But we're going to provide you with the most exhaustive and detailed and thorough analysis of the Morgan Stanley report you've ever seen. Already, we've done more comprehensive analysis than any channel has done in the history of YouTube. But we're going to keep going. Going to keep going because there are a lot of interesting brands coming up in the second half of the top 20. These are the real interesting brands. From 11 to 20? Oh, man. Well, which ones are 11 through 20? Well, here we go. Here's 11 through 20. Am I showing it? I'm not showing it. Show 11 through 20, OC. There we go. $11 through 23. How about that? There's a reason why I'm showing through 23. I'll explain as we approach. As we approach number 23, I'll explain. So I'm going to throw it to you guys. Are there any brands on the screen that you want me to cover first? I'm happy to cover. Let me know if you want super chat, and I'll cover any brand. I might cherry pick a few brands here. I might cherry pick a few brands to cover. But I'll cover the LVMH brands. I'll cover the Richemont brands. So But next up is Tag Heuer. Tag Heuer. Now, Tag Heuer is part of LVMH, the official timekeeper of Formula One. They came out with a new Carrera glass box. They came out with a skipper. They've come out with a bunch of stuff. How have they done? Well, Tag Heuer as recently as 2021 produced a whopping 460,000 units. That's right. That's right. You're not going to get this data from any other watch channel. In 2021, they produced 460,000 units. Over the last 4 years, that number has dropped to 3.9, then 3.8, and now 3.4. Last year was kind of a big drop. They dropped from 3.8 in 2024. Let me just start over again. They went from 460,000. They dropped to 390,000 and 380,000. Now 342,000. So last year was a big drop for them. In 2024, they produced 380,000. They dropped from 380,000 to 342,000. That's a drop of 38,000 units, which is a 10% drop. A 10% drop in production for Tag Heuer. That's not good. 10% fewer watches. Now they tried to make up for it. They tried to make up for it with increasing prices. They jacked up the prices to try and compensate. Tag Heuer's average price is $2,700. $2,700. Yeah, so they've been raising prices. Just a couple of years ago, it used to be $2,200. Now it's $2,700. Okay, now a couple of years ago, Tag Heuer's revenue, they're actually one of the bright spots. From a revenue perspective, they actually been doing pretty good. You know, they went from 615 million in 2023 to 670 million, and now they're at 656 million. So they didn't drop that far from last year. They were at 670 last year. They're at 656 this year. Not too shabby. They dropped 2%. 2% in revenue. They dropped 2% in revenue on a 10% reduction in production in units. Units down 10, but revenue only down 2%. What's going on in the chat, guys? How we doing? You good? You don't like Tag Heuer? You want me to go back to? You want me to cover Tudor? Listen, this is gonna be exhausting. If you want to know about how like the Swiss watch industry, then you're probably tuning in. If you don't want to, that's cool. You can go somewhere else. It's gonna be boring watch talk. Going to be absolutely boring watch talk. But we're gonna cover most of these brands in the top 20. Okay, and then I may cover a few brands in the top 50. I may cover FP Journe. I may cover MB&F. You never know. I may cover Longa. That's right. We got Vimal, who's a member for 17 months. Thank you, Vimal. I really do appreciate you're always in the chat, contributing important knowledge, helping out. And I really do appreciate that. Thanks for the analysis. If you had to predict which of these brands won't be around in 2030, Rolex steel pieces is the way to go. Yeah, go Rolex steel, baby. Which of these brands won't be around in 2030? That's a good one. I think probably. That's tough. Probably Franck Mueller. Franck Mueller may be gone. Maybe Van Cleef and Arpels gets out of watches. Who knows? The thing is with these big jewelry brands like Chopard, Van Cleef, Chanel, Cartier, I mean, if they lose a little bit of money making watches, they compensate for it by selling jewelry. So like having watches is kind of like a thing that they have to kind of complement their jewelry portfolio. It's part of being a well-rounded jewelry maison is that they have watches. Franck Mueller, they don't make jewelry, do they? They're just like a watch brand. So I can see them declining in a slow death. See, Hermes, like it doesn't matter to them if they. I mean, that's a pretty big number. Hermes, $500 million in revenue from watches. That's not chump change. There's a lot of people that come in and buy watches. It's pretty good. Can't complain. Thank you for being a member. The mall. Next up is IWC. There are a lot of hopes. A lot of people pinned big hopes on IWC, the return of the Ingenieur a few years ago. What impact did it have? How is IWC doing? Well, I'll tell you, IWC is doing okay. But you know what? Production's going down. Demand for IWC is going down. 2020, which was COVID year, where production was like slashed. They produced more watches in 2020 COVID year than they produced in 2025. Yep, they produced 130,000 units. They had production of 130,000 units in 2020. And then that went back up to 160 in 2021. And then since that peak, they peaked in 2021, actually, 160,000 units. Then they dropped to 150, 137, 120, and now they're at 118. So over the past 4 years, their production's gone from about 160,000 down to 118,000. A reduction of over 40,000 units. So that's about, they've dropped about 30%. The production is down 30% over the past 4 years. Will it drop another 30%? Probably. Probably drop another 30% over the next several years. Now, what about revenue, you ask? Revenue in 2023 for Tag Heuer was $615 million. I'm sorry, IWC. Revenue for IWC in 2023 was what? Did I get IWC confused with Tag Heuer? Is that what I did? No, I didn't. Okay. Revenue for IWC 2023 was $726 million. Then it went from 726 to 548. And then it rebounded from 548 to 573. So their revenue actually went up. Average retail price of a tag of a IWC is $6,400. 6,400 for IWC. So production went from 160 to 118. In 2023, the revenue was 726. Now they are 573. That's a pretty big, that's a drop of over 15% in revenue. I would say IWC is struggling. IWC is, and that's even with the Ingenieur. Imagine what it's like when the Ingenieur kind of fizzles out. When the Ingenieur fizzles out, man. Tough. Next up at number 13 is JLC. And if I pronounce it in French, it's Jaeger-LeCoultre. Jaeger-LeCoultre. Number 13. How's JLC doing? Well, they're very, very stable. Very, very stable. Now, JLC famously jacked up their prices by 30 or 40% over the past 5 years. How did that impact revenue? And how did it impact, how many units did they produce? Well, in 2020, COVID year, they produced 80,000 units. COVID year was 2020. They produced 80,000 units. When they bounced back and production kind of jumped back up, they jumped back up to 95,000 units. 95, then 97. And they kind of peaked in 2023 at 97,000 units. And they dropped from 97 down to 79 and 78. So 19,000 units, 19,000 units of production evaporated over the last 2 years. That's a drop of about 20%. They're producing 20% fewer watches today than they were just 2 years ago. Now, what about revenue, OC? Great question. 2023 revenue for JLC was $641 million. And then they dropped to 524. And in 2025, they're at 523. So over the last 2 years, they dropped from 641 to 523. That's a 120 million reduction. So that's probably around 20%. Maybe just 18%. 18% reduction in revenue over the last 2 years. That's a problem. That's a huge problem. So let's, I think we can legitimately say that even though JLC moved up, I mean, check this out. Let me show you this. This may be tough to see. JLC is over 2019, number 12. Then they dropped to 13. Then they're very stable at 14. Then they dropped it a little bit to 15. Now they bounced back up a little bit. But that's relative. That's because other brands are dropping faster than they are. That's why they jumped up. Let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger. See, here they are. They jumped from 15 up to 13. See if I have the right thing here. Okay, cool. All right. We've got Newbie in the chat. Newbie JLC realized that they were undervalued, hence the price hike. They saw people spend twice as much on other brands, which were half the quality. Yep, so they dramatically raised prices. It worked okay for them, and they peaked in kind of 2023. But now for 2025, production's down 20%, and revenue's down quite a bit as well. So I think they were undervalued, but maybe they're overvalued now. Maybe they jacked up prices too much. It's a super competitive market now. Super competitive. I'm going to skip Hermes because it's not really super interesting to me. I'm going to skip Hermes. And I'm going to go to Swatch. And let's cover Swatch real quickly. The Swatch brand. Swatch brand, of course, earlier in this decade, they introduced the Moon Swatch. Highly successful. The Swatch brand, man, is just... the Swatch brand in 2020 and 2021 made 3.1 million watches per year. Let that sink in, 3.1 million. After they introduced the Moon Swatch, sales went from 3.1 million to 5.8 million. 5.8 million. They peaked in 2023 at 5.8 million. And the Moon Swatches aren't selling as much as they were. Production dropped from 5.8 million to 4.9, and then in 2025 to 4.4. So a 1.4 million unit reduction since 2023. They went from 5.8 to 4.4. That's a 1.4 million drop. So it's pretty significant drop. Now, how about revenue? How about revenue for the Swatch brand? Revenue in 2023, which was their peak year, was 660 million. That was an amazing year. They basically, I think like 250 million of that was just the Moon Swatch. I mean, that was incredible. So 660 million in revenue. Then it dropped from 660 to 560. And it dropped from 560 to 470 in 2025. So that's a pretty sizable drop. They dropped over the last 2 years from 660 to 470. That's a 190 million drop on 660 million in revenue. So now they're down to 474. That's basically a 30% drop. 30% drop in revenue over the last 2 years. The average retail transaction price of a Swatch is just $133. Just $133. If you just joined us, we're doing live coverage, exhausting, detailed live coverage of the Morgan Stanley Swiss Watch Industry Report. We're at number 16 out of 50. I'll probably stop when we get to, we're going to cover a couple of these, the LVMH brands here. And then we're going to turn it over to you guys. See what specific brands you want covered. But the next brand, Amal says, guess those Moon Swatches aren't selling anymore. Well, they're still selling. They're just not. Remember, in that first year, I think 2023, they sold 2 million Moon Swatches. I mean, that is just an incredible success story. They sold 2 million watches. They generated over 250 million in revenue for the Swatch brand. So absolutely amazing. So we're going to go through the next brand is Hublot. Hublot was the worst performing brand of 2024. How did they do in 2025? Great question. How did they do, OC? Well, the worst performing brand of 2024, here are the numbers. Here is how they're doing. Hublot was making around 50,000 watches a year. Hublot was making around 50,000 watches a year. They peaked in 2023. They made 52,000 watches. They made 52,000 watches in 2023, and then they fell off a cliff. In 2024, they went from 52,000 to 39,000. And another big drop this year from 39,000 down to 32,000. That's a 7,000 drop. Pretty big drop. It's about 15% drop. So they, in 1 year. Over the last 2 years, they've dropped from 52,000 to 32,000. That's probably like a 33% drop in production in just 2 years. Hublot is in big trouble. Hublot's in big trouble. Now, how did they do revenue-wise? 2023, Hublot was at 670. And then they dropped to 495. And now this year they're at 460. Dude, massive trouble. They were at 670 million 2 years ago. That 670 is now 460. It's a drop of 210 million. A drop of 210 million, which is over 30% reduction in revenue. Their revenue dropped 30%. Guys, Hublot is in big trouble. Hublot is in very big trouble. We already covered Tudor. We covered Tudor at the beginning of the show. Their production is actually up from 2024 from 160,000 units to 180, but that's down from a peak of 300,000 units. Tudor peaked at 300,000 units in 2021. And they're just a shell of their former self. A shell of their former self. Now, how did they do revenue-wise, Tudor? Tudor in 2023, 545 million. Then they dropped to 360 million. That was a massive drop in 2024. They dropped all the way from 545 million. They dropped down to 360. They rebounded from 360 up to 460 this year. So kudos to Tudor. They actually grew revenue by 100 million with only a 20% increase in production. They must have had like a bloodbath, of absolute bloodbath in 2024. Average retail transaction price for Tudor is $4,100. $4,100. Vimal says Nico is more influential. I think Vimal's referring to Hublot now. Nico's more influential than he's given credit. He made it cool to hate on Hublot. Yeah, they're definitely in a bad situation. A lot of these brands in the top 20, and it gets worse. These other brands, which I probably won't cover unless you guys want name a specific brand. We're doing exhaustive, detailed analysis. I'm still waiting for the watch expert to jump on. The title of this stream. Hold on, let me double check. Yeah, the title of the stream is like Watch Expert Analyzes the Morgan Stanley. I'm still waiting for the watch expert to jump on. But it's now. I think it's now time to reveal the worst performing brand. Are you guys ready? Who do you think it is? Who do you think it is? The worst performing brand of 2025. Who do you think it is, guys? Please submit your guesses in the chat. I'm going to now reveal the worst. Last year it was Hublot and Tudor, basically the worst performing brands of 2024. This year we've got a clear winner. Clear winner. Which brand is the worst performing brand of 2025? Original Mathis is in the chat. He says Zenith. Is it Zenith? Let's see what some of the other guesses are. If you just joined us, we're doing a live analysis, very detailed analysis of the Morgan Stanley Swiss Watch Industry Report. This is a reminder to upvote the live stream, guys. Come on, we should have 50 upvotes, guys. We should have 50 upvotes. If you haven't upvoted yet, hit that like button. I would really appreciate it. We need to get to 50 likes, guys. Make it happen. We've got Stefan in the chat. He says he's a member of the channel. Thank you for being a member. I really appreciate it. Is it Chopard? Is it Chopard? Got Vimal, Panerai. I don't know anyone who has one from retail. Yeah, I highly discourage anybody from buying Panerai at retail. And by the way, I think we should all make a pact. Let's all sell Zenith, Tudor, and Omega. Let's make our collections Zenith, Tudor, and Omega free in 2026. I have a Zenith and an Omega. I've been mandated to liquidate those two pieces by June 30th. And I need you guys to join with me in this quest to make our collections Omega free, Zenith free, and Tudor free in 2026. OC, how did Zenith do? Let's check out Zenith. Now, Zenith is number 38. Okay, Zenith is number 38. A couple of years ago, they were number 34 on this list. Okay. Show us, OC, show us. Okay, boom. Let's, here we go. Here's Zenith. Zenith is smack in the middle of your screen at number 38. See that? Now, when I bought my Zenith, which was 2020, They said that Zenith needed to be at 30,000 units to be profitable. They were when I bought my Zenith 2020, they made 11,000 units a year. And then post-COVID, they jumped up to 14,000 units a year. And since then, they went from 14 down to 13, down to 12, down to 10. And last year, they went from 10,000 down to 8,500 units. A 15% reduction. A 15% reduction in production. I think Zenith is dead. Completely unprofitable. And that's Zenith but is Zenith the worst performing brand? If you look at by revenue in 2023, Zenith was struggling with revenue of 138 million. They went from 138 to 115 in 2024, and now they've dropped from 115 down to 98. Oh man! So in the last 2 years, they went from 138 million in revenue to 98. That is a 40% reduction. 40% reduction in revenue. So they're basically dead. Zenith is 100% toast. So if you're asking me like which brand will not be around, it's 100. Zenith is dead. Okay, we announced it a couple of weeks ago, but it's over for them. 40% reduction in revenue. They went from 14,000 units a few years ago. They need 30,000 to be profitable. They're making 8,000 units a year. It'll probably drop again. It's over for Zenith. Do not buy Zenith. Sell Zenith immediately, or maybe like hold on to it because this brand's going to be out of business. The brand will be out of business by the end of the year. It's gone. But even as bad as that is, there's another brand that's lost, I think, more revenue. I think it's that's doing even more poorly. I mean, that's pretty bad. 15% reduction in production year over year for Zenith. That's bad. Really bad. Really, really bad, guys. But now I'm going to reveal the OC winner of worst performing brand in my, like, I'm naming them the worst performer of the year, and that brand is, are you ready? Are you ready? The biggest loser of the year is Panerai. Panerai is the worst performing brand. A member of the Richemont Group, one of the darlings of the Richemont Group, Panerai is in big, big, big trouble. Why do you say that, OC? Why do you say that, OC? Well, let me tell you why. When we recovered from COVID, remember COVID year was 2020. When we recovered from COVID, 2021, that's when like production bounced back to kind of normal levels. It was the boom of 2021. Panerai produced 72,000 units. Now you can do the math. You can do the math. In the last 4 years, they've gone from 72,000 units down to 67, down to 55, and down to 38. Last year, Panerai dropped production. They reduced production from 55,000 units to 38,000 units. That is a, someone do the math on that. Let me see. Yeah, that's 31%. So that makes Panerai the worst performing brand of 2025. They reduced production. Their production dropped by 31% in 1 year, from 55,000 down to 38,000. They're down from 72,000 4 years ago. They're basically half the size of the company that they were 4 years ago. It's fucking over for Panerai, guys. It's fucking over. Now, how'd they do in revenue, OC? How did they do in revenue? Well, in 2023, Panerai was at 520 million Swiss francs. 520 million in Swiss francs. They went from 520 to 433 in 2024, and from 433 down to 299 in 2025. Holy shit. Let's do the year over year math on that. 433 down to 299. Yeah. Revenue down 31% as well. Woo! That is awful. 2 years ago, they were at 520. 520. Yeah. They're down 42.5% from 2 years ago. It's over. Panerai, the worst performing brand of 2025, down 31%. And you're not going to hear about this anywhere else. You're not going to hear about this from, Theo or Bark, or, as much as I love some of the other YouTube channels like Britt Pierce and others, they're not going to talk about it. They're not going to do deep dive analysis like we're doing here. They're not going to give you the real scoop. They don't have the numbers. We have the whole, I could show you my spreadsheet, kind of big spreadsheet with all of this detailed analysis, the detailed analysis. Let me see here. Yeah, the prices, I mean, their average transaction price remained the same. The problem is that the production dropped by over 40%, and their revenue dropped by over 40% in 2 years. Demand ain't there. Yeah. Simple as that. Demand ain't there. Thank you, Easy E. Boxer fans in the chat says Panerai has not been the same since Bonata. Bonata left as CEO in 2018. Sad, really. Yeah. If you're just joining us, we just named the worst performing brand of 2025. That brand is Panerai. This stream has been going on for 3 hours. We covered the entire top 20 basically from the Morgan Stanley report. We covered detailed production numbers, detailed revenue numbers, average transaction prices going back years and years for all of the brands. Peruka's joining us. Where is the watch expert? That's a good question. I don't think we ever had a watch expert join the panel. Nobody who I would consider an expert ever joined. I'll have to change the title. I'll have to change the title to OC waited for watch expert to join the panel, but they never materialized. And that will be the show. Now, I'm going to do something I've covered, like I've been on for 3 hours. I'm happy to stay on longer. But we're now moving into the phase of the show where you guys need to tell me which brand you want to cover. Okay? I'm going to show you numbers 20 through 50. Okay? Here's 20 through 50. I'm going to move myself down here. Well, maybe I'll stay right here. You guys can read this. Zoom in if you have to. Okay? Here's 20 through 50. Maybe I'll blow it up just a little bit. Okay, here's 20 through 40. If there's a brand you want me to cover in depth, super chat. Otherwise, listen, we covered the top 20 brands, and we covered the best brands, we covered the worst performing brands in excruciating detail. I mean, really, no other channel is going to cover the Morgan Stanley Lux Consult report the way we have covered it. So the question is, do you want me to keep going? If you want me to keep going, you got to let me know. Because 3 hours, I did 3 hours, guys. Chielski's in the chat. What's up, Chielski? Good to see you here. Chopard above Breguet. I could cover Breguet and Blancpain. You know, you might be shocked. But let me see. Let me blow this up a little bit. Let me see if I can get Blancpain. Yeah, Blancpain and Breguet on the same screen. By the way, technically, Gucci, which I don't consider them a real brand. I don't consider Gucci like a real watch brand. But technically, Gucci had the biggest year-over-year drop in production and the biggest 2-year drop in production of any brand in the top 50. Gucci went from 238,000 units of production in 2023 to 108,000. So basically they cut production by 60%. Gucci in 2023 had revenue of 124 million. They still have the same revenue, shockingly enough. But they're doing it on way, way fewer units. Let me just check the average transaction price for Gucci. $775. Let me see. And then back then, yeah, $779. And now it's 1807. So they went from 779, where the average price of their watch was $779. Now it's $1,800 for Gucci. So they basically way more than they increased their prices by like they jacked up by 150%, and they reduced production. What are the stats on Journe? F. P. Journe. Here we go. F. P. Journe is number 36. See them right there. I'll put them in the middle of the screen. They've produced the same number of watches consistently over the last few years. For the last 2 or 3 years. But FP Journe in 2020, which was COVID year, made 650 watches. COVID year, 650 watches. Then in the rebound year, 2021, FP Journe started jacking up production. They went to 900 units. Then after the 900 units, I think the issue now is this 1900 includes both elegant and mechanical watches. So it's a little bit, it might be a little bit misleading. So this 1900 production number that you guys see on the screen, I think it's about 1,000 mechanical watches and 1,000 elegants, or something like that. 900 mechanical, 1,000 elegant, or 1,000 mechanical, 900 elegant, something like that. There they are. But their revenue is about the same. You know, they haven't really jacked up prices that much. Revenue 105 million in revenue. 105 million Swiss francs. Average price of an FP Journe, average retail price is $65,000. $65,000. Boxer, you got a freebie because you super chatted earlier. Thank you, Boxer fans, for the question. All right. We'll do a 10-minute warning. 10-minute warning. You guys can see, I'm going to scroll through these brands. If you want detailed production analysis, detailed revenue analysis on any of these brands, let me know in the chat. Super chat. We're going to do a 10-minute warning. And then we will call it quits unless someone wants to jump on the panel. But you know, we did 3 hours where we exhaustively covered the Morgan Stanley Lux Consult report. I want to give a huge shout out to Oliver Mueller in Switzerland, who wrote the Morgan Stanley report for Lux Consult. I want to thank Morgan Stanley and Lux Consult for allowing me to share these charts and these graphs, as these graphs are the exclusive property of Morgan Stanley. For the record, we're showing them here because it's newsworthy under fair use. But yeah, I'm just going to sit here. If you just joined us, by the way, here's a live picture from a drone In Buell, Switzerland. This is a live shot, live shot of the new Rolex production facility that's underway, with scheduled opening in 2029 opening of the new giant wings, like the size of an airport. So Rolex is going to have a brand new production facility there in Buell, Switzerland. Is there any other news that you guys want me to cover, or are there any other brands from the top 50 that you guys want me to cover? Let me know in the chat. Or if you just want to super chat or upgrade your membership to show your appreciation for all of this exhaustive analysis, feel free to do so. I welcome all signs and shows of appreciation. You don't have to leave. Don't scurry away. Like, oh no, I don't want to super chat. I'll run away. It's okay. You can stay in the chat. You don't have to run and hide. By the way, Richard Mille introduced, check this out. Because I love Richard Mille, they introduced a new watch today. Let me see, what's it called? 4301 Tourbillon? Is that what it is? That soccer watch, right? Yeah, check this out. I'll pull up a picture. Boom. Richard Mille 4101 Tourbillon. Soccer time. It's a soccer watch. So if you're a soccer player, you definitely need to get this. You need to get this watch. Let me pull up a couple of pictures here of the two different versions. You got this one. And you have this one. What do you think? What do you think? Last chance. If anybody wants to jump on, last chance to jump on. RM 4101s. There you go. I think we had a pretty good show. I think we had a really, really, really good show. What do you think? Pretty good? Should we call it? Should we call it? So, yeah, thanks for watching. If you're watching this on the replay, please give us a thumbs up and please consider dropping in a super thanks. Please leave a comment. What do you think about these results? What do you think about the worst performing brand Panerai, and the runner-up Tudor. Zenith. Tudor did well. Gotta give Tudor credit. They grew revenue quite significantly in 2025. AMD Chaz, did you see the new Theo and Harris video? No, if it's newer than the one I covered in detail on my last live stream. By the way, shout out to Theo. He actually sent me a comment, and he liked the coverage. So he's a good sport. He's a good sport. He saw my post on Instagram, and he watched the video, so he liked it. Is there a new Theo and Harris? Let's see if there's a new one. Is it worth my playing it? Let's see. Theo and Harris. Let's see here. Okay. Let's do I want to pull it up? Do I dare? Let's see here. Okay, here we go. MD Chaz, are you going to get me in trouble? What is this thing? Very nice. What do you call it? It's a very southwestern motif, like a Native American kind of motif. Is it a jacket? What do you call that thing? Let's see what Theo has to say here.
I have made a huge mistake. I am sitting in my lawyer's office. What the fuck was I thinking? Because I just bought a building that I committed to buying 2 months ago before I became a hunter and outdoorsman. And I'm signing these papers, I'm signing these checks. And I realize all I could have done with that money, I could have custom coated my 12 gauge. I could have bought waders. What the fuck am I going to do with an apartment building? Rent it? Fucking shovel snow? Fucking what? Go to court? The gear, the fucking gear, the trips, the dogs, the deer I could have put to sleep, the friends I could have made along the way. I was lost. I was trying to fill.
Hey, like buying an apartment building is cool. That's awesome. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, if you can afford to buy an apartment building, that's huge. Kudos.
The nature-sized hole in my heart. It's my lawyer wearing a white gold AP.
Hey. That's his lawyer. That's interesting.
Couldn't work Casio to closing. Had to rub it in with bricks and windows. Does that sound like it makes any sense? This is the fucking title guy. No one knows what he does. He's got a Rolex. Batgirl. Really nice. Oh, he's laughing at me. Very nice.
Yeah, what's he wearing? What's he wearing? Like he's showing up he's buying an apartment building, he's closing. I'm assuming this is a multi-million-dollar investment. His lawyer has an awesome AP. The title company guy has a Batgirl. What is he wearing? How come he's not showing his watch?
To take this big pile of shit off my hands, let me know. I have bigger fish to fry. Bigger game on my mind.
Oh, let's see. What watch is that? I can't quite tell. What the hell is he wearing? Is he wearing like a bark Day-Date or something? Or is he wearing looks like he's wearing like one of those Tiffany or Cartier bracelets and a watch? Or maybe no watch at all?
Looking so stupid. I have made a huge mistake. I am sitting in my lawyer's office. What the fuck?
Okay. I saw it. What was that?
I am sitting in my lawyer's office. What
the
fuck was I thinking?
Thought I said it looked like a Rolex. Rolex on Jubilee.
was I thinking?
Let's go back.
I am sitting in my lawyer's office. What the fuck was I thinking?
It's impossible to pause on it. Looks like a two-tone Rolex Datejust or something. MD Chaz, thank you for bringing that up. Why not? Let's see. Hey, we got Burbeing Hard in the chat. This new character arc is hilarious. Hunting is expensive. I don't know what is he doing. He's buying an apartment building. He's not really hunting. He's buying an apartment building. So huge shout out to Theo or Christian of Theo and Harris. And all right, guys, thanks so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed it. We did a 3.5-hour stream, the most exhaustive, comprehensive, and detailed analysis of the Morgan Stanley report. If you want to learn about the breakdown of all of the production numbers, the revenue numbers, the year-over-year trending, the health of the industry, all that stuff, check out the live stream. Check out the video at the original OC channel on YouTube. Clip it. If I say clip it, then the software knows how to. They should clip it and create a short. So hopefully my StreamYard software is going to be smart enough to clip that and make a YouTube short that'll get like hundreds and hundreds of views, way more views than this silly live stream will get. And by the way, people at StreamYard, please fix your software. Please make your software more stable. Please add features to it. And for all the money that we spend on StreamYard, make it better. Just make it better. Clip it. That'll go to the StreamYard, folks. But thanks everyone for tuning in. Upvote the live stream. Leave a comment. Let me know how you feel about this Morgan Stanley report. Thank you again to Morgan Stanley and Lux Consult. Big shout out to Oliver Mueller, who authored the report. Fantastic job. We will catch you on the next one. Peace out.